Imagine raising a child without hospitals, without medicine, without diapers, without schools, without electricity, without even knowing what bacteria were. Now imagine doing it 30,000 years ago, in a world filled with predators, deadly winters, starvation, disease, and constant danger. By all logic, human children should never have survived. After all, compared to almost every animal on Earth, human babies are astonishingly helpless. A newborn deer can walk within hours. A newborn horse can run the same day. A human baby, it can't even hold up its own head. So, here's the mystery. How did our ancestors manage to keep their children alive long enough for humanity to survive? The answer reveals one of the greatest secrets of human evolution. Because the survival of human children didn't depend on stronger bodies. It depended on something far more powerful. Human babies are strange. In fact, from an evolutionary perspective, they almost seem badly designed. They are born incredibly vulnerable. They require years of protection, years of feeding, years of teaching, and unlike most animals, they cannot survive on their own for an extraordinarily long time. Why would evolution create such a fragile child? The answer begins with our brains. As humans evolved larger brains, childbirth became more dangerous. A baby's head could only grow so much before it became impossible to pass through the mother's pelvis. The solution was unusual. Human babies began being born earlier in their development. In a sense, much of human growth happens outside the womb, which means childhood became longer than in almost any other species. But that created a huge problem. How do you keep such helpless children alive? Travel back to the Ice Age. Every day is uncertain. Food is never guaranteed. Storms can kill. Predators lurk nearby. Infections that seem minor today can become fatal. For ancient parents, losing a child was a constant possibility. Many children never reached adulthood, yet enough survived for humanity to spread across the entire planet. How? Because ancient humans discovered something that almost no other animal had: collective parenting. Today, many people imagine prehistoric mothers raising children alone, but reality was likely very different. Anthropologists studying hunter-gatherer societies have found that childcare is often shared. Grandmothers help, older siblings help, aunts help, uncles help, friends help. The entire group becomes responsible for the child. In many communities, a child may receive care from dozens of different individuals. This dramatically increases survival. If one adult becomes sick, others step in. If food is scarce, resources are shared. If danger appears, many eyes are watching. Human children survived because they were rarely raised by only two parents. They were raised by communities. One of the most fascinating theories in human evolution is known as the grandmother hypothesis. It suggests that grandmothers played a critical role in human survival. Unlike many animals, human females often live decades after they stop having children. From an evolutionary perspective, that seems unusual, unless those years serve another purpose. Grandmothers could gather food, protect children, share knowledge, help mothers recover and care for new babies. Their presence may have significantly increased the survival rates of grandchildren. In other words, humanity may owe part of its success to grandmothers. Keeping children alive wasn't only about food and protection. It was about knowledge. A lion cub follows instinct. A human child must learn almost everything: which plants are safe, which animals are dangerous, how to find water, how to hunt, how to build shelter, how to navigate social relationships. Human childhood became long because human learning became incredibly complex. The extra years weren't a weakness. They were an investment. Every year of learning increased the child's chance of surviving adulthood. To ancient humans, Play wasn't a luxury. It was training. When children chased each other, they practiced running. When they threw sticks, they practiced hunting. When they played social games, they learned cooperation. Even imagination had value. It allowed young minds to simulate situations before facing them in real life. What looks like simple play may actually be one of evolution's most powerful survival tools. Then something extraordinary happened. Humans developed unusually strong emotional bonds with their children. Parents became deeply attached. Children became deeply attached to caregivers. Love itself became a survival strategy, because the more adults cared about a child, the harder they worked to protect it. This emotional connection helped ensure that vulnerable children received years of care, and that care changed the future of our species. The truth is that ancient humans didn't keep children alive because they were stronger than nature. They survived because they learned to work together. Our ancestors transformed vulnerability into an advantage. A helpless child forced adults to cooperate. Cooperation created stronger groups. Stronger groups produced more survivors. And those survivors built the human world. The very weakness of human babies may have helped create human civilization. The next time you see a child learning to walk, remember what you're witnessing. A story that began hundreds of thousands of years ago. A survival strategy written into human evolution. Ancient children survived not because the world was safe, but because entire communities made survival possible. And perhaps that's the most human thing of all. Not strength, not speed, not intelligence alone, but the ability to care for those who cannot yet care for themselves. Because long before cities, long before kingdoms, long before civilization, humanity's greatest invention may have been raising children together. If you enjoyed this journey into humanity's hidden past, subscribe to the channel and join us for more stories about evolution, survival, and the ancient forces that shaped who we are today. Because the greatest secrets of prehistory are still living inside us.